Okay, that's us on. I'll just get started then, Joe, if that's okay.
Cool.
Hi guys, I've got a special guest on me with me just now for this week's chat. Today's chat, 'cause I'm going to have another one with Brandon later in the week. I've got the lovely Irishman Joe Sheppard, who's just going to chat about rugby in general, about the upcoming Six Nations games. How's it going, Joe?
Yeah, listen, Carl. Listen, thanks very much for asking me to join you tonight. Really, really honoured. It's great to be able to go onto other people's
Good to have you
shows.
on.
And no, it's good. Look, we've been running Three Brokes a ball and bod for 12 months now, and we started just the same. Had no Facebook page, had no Twitter, no nothing. And I just one night I thought, you know what, I want to chat with ordinary people like you, like me, as if we were sat across the table about rugby, have an opinion, and it didn't really matter. And here we are now, and it's great to be able to come on and have a chat with you, because I think what you're doing is fab,
Oh
mate.
yeah, thanks very much, man. Good to have you on as well. I do like your stuff that you do on the chats you do, which regularly come up on my rugby page. All Talk Rugby. I'll put a link in the description below. It's my Facebook page. If you want to chat about rugby in general, all that, just go and join there and post what you like. Really, the rules are in the forum pinned post. But yeah, like I say, I'm with you there. I'm wanting to chat more with folk, just about rugby in general, share opinions, gain more knowledge. Which even I mean, I do rugby refereeing, but you never stop learning about the game, no matter how skilled you are, how knowledgeable you are at any level. So I think that's important. But I think we'll just go and chat about how the Six Nations and how's it going, how's it been going so far. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think that it was hard to predict before it started, Carl. To be honest, we didn't see England coming out of the starting blocks
No.
as fast as they have. I mean, their intensity and their team cohesion is wonderfully impressive. You know, it's almost like England of old, or the French in the early '90s. You know, it's just almost a complete unit. I'm not sure what Eddie Jones has done. I give him a bit of a hard time sometimes, but look, the players themselves, I think, have come together well, and now. They're good. Excuse me. They're good. They're very, very good. Can they keep that consistency and that momentum going through the rest of the Six Nations over the summer up to the Rugby World Cup? I'm not sure. I think some of the injuries, and we'll come back to some of the injuries like Michael Vunipola and stuff like that when we talk about their game with Wales shortly. But I think the other teams. Take France out, we'll come back to them because we really don't know where they are. It'll be interesting to see how they're going to go into your boys against Scotland at the weekend. But the rest is mediocre. Now, is that making England look as even better than they are? It's hard to tell, but you've got to give it credit where it's due. The scrummaging, the pack, the scrums, the scrummaging, the positional. The kicking game has been absolutely outstanding, and I think that, notwithstanding Mako Vunipola being lost to injury now, which is a massive loss, he is a world class, loosehead prop. There's not many. He's in one of my top three in the world, and losing Kim, losing Maruatoji, who hasn't been firing on all cylinders for me, but certainly they would be in Eddie's starting 15.
Yeah,
I think.
news was coming through today about Itoji that he might be back for the Wales game.
Really?
Yeah, and I'd be surprised if he is because the injury he got. But there is the new. That's what came up on the BBC News earlier today. So who knows? He might be in the 23, but we shall wait and see on that one. But yeah, no, I generally agree. I mean, I don't know about the others. I suppose the others have been pretty mediocre so far. I'll agree with you there. But I think England have also been pretty much that good, and I think Wales will give them a harder game than Ireland and France did. No disrespect about the Ireland one.
Yep, absolutely.
But I do think England will have enough just to pull through in the end because tactically they've just been so sound. They've adapted very well. Their kicking game has been second to none, and their defence has been excellent as well. I think their defence, John Mitchell has played a big part in him coming back. Him coming back after I think like he was 20 years ago. He was last with England under Clive Woodward, and him coming back now I think has really helped their defence out because even when Eddie Jones first came in, their defence is just looking so much better. They're pushing up the line so much harder, so much more accurate than any of the other teams so far. So
Yeah, the line speed is pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they're up, literally, when you talk about line speed, they are up in the line. Whereas when you look at Ireland, we've been the most disjointed I've seen.
I thought you were a lot better against us. Apart from the interception try, which I think is, I'll say I think is us taking a bit of a leaf out of England's book there in terms of pushing up fast and Finn Russell getting the intercept. But apart from that, I thought you defended pretty well against us. I mean, we were
a lot better than we were against England, but still wasn't. It still wasn't what we're used to. But the thing is, you go through cycles, Kyle, and I'm pretty comfortable. We trust in Joe Schmidt, St. Joe, and
your glorious leader.
Absolutely glorious leader, and that what he's building towards Japan. He's meticulous. Excuse me. The one thing about Joe is he's really, really meticulous in absolutely everything he does, and there's a reason. It's a bit like the Henshaw thing. Trying Henshaw at full-back, hadn't played there for 2 years. Gifted player, an absolutely gifted player, but he was run ragged by an exceptional English team. So did we? So everybody slated it, but actually, did we see a wrong decision made by putting Robbie Henshaw at full-back at 15, or was it just the fact that Jesus, the boy was all over the park, and he was coming back from injury. He hadn't played in that position for 2 years. Is it just an unfair assessment? Will we see him back at 15 against Italy? I suspect we will. There we go.
Well, I don't know about maybe I don't know about that. I mean, I actually like I say. I mean, I'm with you on Robbie Henshaw in the sense I didn't think he had a bad game against England. I think positionally, you could argue he could have positioned himself a bit better at times, but still, England's kicking game was that good. It would have been really, difficult for him regardless if he positioned himself better than that. But and the times he did,
I think Rob Kearney would have had a difficult day at the office that day as well.
Yeah,
whoever was there would have had a really, really difficult day if we're honest. England were exceptional. So
yeah, but he made the French fullback the following week look. The French fullback made Henshaw look like the best defensive fullback ever the following week because England's kicking game against them was no fullback at home half the time. So that's France.
It was, yeah. I mean, we'll come on to France and Scotland in a minute. I'm like we were talking before we started. I'm really not sure what's happening with France. I think with France, I think the lack of team cohesion. They clearly have it there, Kyle, because they showed in that first half against Wales, and Wales weren't poor. That France were exceptional in the first half. And
it was a combination of both, really, because Wales made so many errors. But yeah, France were tactically better in that first half of that game.
Just really don't know what happened to them in the second half against Wales. But there's fundamentally a problem there on the coaching and the team because Vayama, the big second row lock, having to be told in the second half against Wales that he had taken over the captaincy by the referee tells you there's a problem. That's continued on. People coming out, Morgan Parrabother's comments this week. Jacques Vanel has been absolutely slated in the French papers. The players certainly there is no cohesion there. And you said you quite rightly pointed out before we started recording the French team seems to sort of run out of energy. And as I said back, and the reason I bring this up is because for me, if you look at they've got world-class individual players, they've got some youth coming through. I think Brunel needs to bring more young players in. I think there's an element of where France are maybe looking out towards 2023, which they're hosting, and they're putting all their efforts into building a squad for that. Where actually, normally they come good in the year of a World Cup, and they give a good, they acquiesce themselves very, very well when the World Cup time comes. You can't see that coming at the moment because there's no team cohesion, and that lack of team cohesion is causing lack of energy because you've got 15 individuals, or actually some may say 11 or 12 individuals, because actually you could take some of those off and put them under 11s, in some of those positions, especially the fullback, and we probably do an awful lot better. Jesus, I took the mick out of them last week, which one of our French fans got a bit bent out of shape about, because I was saying, look, it was almost like Marshall suits and Napoleon at Waterloo, and they were so far out of position. It was like the French team last week, and that was a great analogy. But so who knows what's going to come? How do you think? Where do you think it's going to be won and lost though for you for Scotland against France on the weekend?
Okay. We'll just go into that and then talk a bit the games game by game. See how we go from there. But yeah, I think biggest concern for me right now is obviously making sure we have Finn Russell fit because I think it's obviously a blow losing both Stuart Hogg and Hugh Jones, but I think Blair Kinghorn's a more than capable fullback to cover for Hogg, so I'm not that worried about that. In the centre, I'm a wee bit more concerned, but I think, again, to me, it's the main man is Finn Russell. Like, if we make sure we have him fit at 10, because he on his day pulls the strings. If we have a platform to him, and he'll pull defences about and give France a tough time. But I think collectively we're a lot better than France are. My biggest concern is the individual errors, which again, I mean, that was what annoyed me against Ireland more than anything, is that there were 3 tries that were very avoidable. As I've said in my match reaction to it, and it's just like making sure we're not making sure we're making our tackles, doing the basics well, because really good teams, I mean, you might miss the odd tackle or drop the odd ball, but they're not mistakes that lead to big things. And normally, if you're a really good team, it's normally like England against you guys. It was mostly England just working, really hard and keeping the ball and getting over the gain line, then spreading it as you should do in rugby to get the points. The interception was great defence when Ireland were desperate, but. It should be like the teams work for it more, I'm trying to say, than, you let them through with a weak tackle or that, because it was just weak defence that led through for 3 tries, so that was disappointing. So if we can cut those errors out and make sure we're getting the basics right, making sure we get parity up front, I think that's my biggest worry, is the size of the French pack. Are we going to be able to get parity? But that's one area under Gregor Townsend. I think we have improved a lot in the past couple of years. We seem to be being able to cope more and play against bigger packs a lot more. We're not getting, because I think under Vern Cotter we used to get dominated a bit too much by bigger packs, and I think we're coping with that a lot better under Townsend. So that's one area I'm hoping we can get at least parity on, and make sure we get a platform for likes of Laidlaw and Russell and Blair Kinghorn from fullback to do some damage. I think if we can do that, we should be okay. But in Paris, we haven't won in 20 years, so that could be a big factor. That's where I think we could win, but I don't think we'll win by much. And that's my thoughts on it. So,
do you clearly would favour a more of an Edinburgh strong pack to take on the bigger French pack to try and counter in the first instance, won or lost in the scrum?
Yeah, because I think it'll be different players, but at the same time, the Edinburgh players have beaten Montpellier and Toulon in the European Cup, and and up front they've shown their own against both teams, which shows they know how to do it against the bigger size packs. I think that would be that's my thinking for it, is because of and with Richard Cockrell's coaching as well has definitely helped Edinburgh and helped our forwards in general overall. So I think that'll be my main reason. You could argue maybe Johnny Gray could. I think Johnny Gray will start in the second row, but just because I've not been that impressed with him outside of his tackling, why I'd put Gilchrist and Toulis in. I think Toulis brings a bit more gruff as well, a bit more bulk with his carrying as well, which would be a big help, because with players we have available, we have ball carriers, but we don't have that many ball carriers that can seriously bash through the gain line. I think at the moment we've really just got Strauss and Toulis, and Adam Ashe has just come back, but he's only been back for 1 game, so I don't see him. At least I don't see him starting. And Bradbury, I think, is a good player as well. He can carry, but apart from that, we don't have any serious bashers Stuart McAnally. Pardon me. So I don't usually count front rows when I'm counting carriers. But he can.
Oh, I do all the time because
no disrespect.
As a retired tight head prop and Leinster and Ireland prop front row, and of course Sean Cronin. We'll come back when we speak about Ireland because I think he'll start. But it's that ball carrying, front five that I think supported by your back three now is really what defines it. And I think that's what Cockerell's done with Edinburgh, and I think that makes a difference. I mean, Stuart McAnally has been superb playing all season, absolutely superb. And again, big fan of WP Nell. Hopefully he's back from injury, but you probably prefer Simon Bergenen.
No, I'd go for Nell. He's our best prop. So if he's fit, get him in. I mean, I would say I did say in my video I would put Simon Bergen on the bench because I don't think he's done anything to justify being dropped out of the squad completely. I know we've got Xander Fagerson back, but again, he's only played one game and he's been out for ages, injured. So I think just throwing him straight back into the international scene might be a bit too soon for him. Same with Richie Gray, I think. Because of the amount of injuries he has had the past couple of weeks, I think he needs a bit more game time with Toulouse just to get himself back up to a level that we need him to be, especially with the World Cup coming up. I think, like I said, main thing for me is making sure we get parity up front and that we're not letting them bully us and that we're not giving them anything cheap either. Because as you say, I mean, this French team, they're a bunch of individuals. I don't see a team at all. I just see a bunch of individuals. And individually, if you give them anything cheap, they can definitely cut you up, and if you give them too much space, they can definitely cut you up as well. So that's where my thoughts are with that. What are your thoughts?
I wouldn't disagree at all. I think that there's. I said before Six Nations, Kyle, that there would be a banana skin for every team in every game, and on paper, you're struggling to see where that's going to come from France. But look, if they put together what they did in the first half against Wales for 80 minutes against Scotland, it's hard to see you competing. But you can't see that on paper. But you just don't know with France. And if France turn up, I want them to, not that I want you to get beat, but I want France to have a good 80 minutes because they've got some really, really class players. Who they'll bring back in? Parra, will Parra come in?
I think that Dupont is definitely going to start because he was one of the players against England. He really stepped up when he came on, but again, it was just he was an individual. He was like he was like trying to be the captain of the Titanic, emptying a sinking ship with a bucket. By the time he came on, he didn't have a prayer of getting France back into the game, and there was times like his teammates just weren't in tune with what he was doing. Or what he was trying to do, like when he was making breaks, the support wasn't up there quickly enough, and most especially, or they weren't running the support lines like with that kick through he did. You could argue like Ntamak ran this wrong support line, trying to catch up with him, but
youthful exuberance you see in young Ntamak. A lot of it is even at that level, but they're still young. They don't understand the game management of it more. So there's a lot of effort and energy going into it, but it's not joined up. And if it was, I think that's in England or in Ireland, especially the younger players have that drilled into them. That they
that's the thing though, Joe. You see the likes of Dupont, Ntamak, and even Ramos, the fullback, who I'm fully expecting to start on Saturday. Yep. Those guys, they play brilliantly for Toulouse week in, week out. When you watch them, they've been doing really well in the European Cup. So they have got it in them at club level at least. Like they showed those players, they shown they can play. It just doesn't translate onto the international field for whatever reason. If it's coaching, is it the top 14 schedule? Which I don't know if you heard the Andy Good and Jim Hamilton podcast where they had Philippe Saint-André on, and he talked about why the way French rugby is, and mostly talk about the faults of the top 14 and how it's affecting the French national team. But I think that plays a factor as well. The schedule, the training, how for years now, even as low down as the mini rugbies, Brian Moore has said French teams are favouring size and power over technique, over team cohesion, over ability, over pace. There's favouring having big lumps and going from there.
Bastards of this world. And, And it's not working, so it will be interesting to see. I hope for rugby and for French rugby, because we all want teams to be the best that they can be, and nobody wants to see a team at the top level disambiguated. Ambiguated, is that the word? Anyway, disjointed as they are. Because it's not good for French rugby. No. It's not good for rugby at the world level. So we'll see. But I think on paper you've got to say the way the French have been and the way Scotland have been. I think that you've got to say Scotland 7-10 to take it. In my opinion,
I think it'll be 3. I think it'll be 3-7. Again, just going by us playing in Paris. I know it's like a more superficial thing, but I do think the home and away advantage does play a big factor. With all nations, because it is a lot harder to go away and win than it is at home. It's hard anywhere, but it's a lot harder to win away games. So I think that'll be why I'm going for 3-7. I think we'll just get it, but I think it will be France will give us a bit of a tough ride, but I think we are fitter than them. I think we play a faster game than them in general, and so if we can, that's another thing. If we can keep the pace of the game up. But I think by about 50-60 minutes we could have them on the ropes, and then it's a case of us being smart enough just to put them away, which we did last year when they came to Murrayfield. I didn't think we played that well in that game, but they unravelled after about the 60-minute mark, and we were just smart enough to just keep bashing away, and they started losing their discipline. They lost their discipline, and then just get Greg Laidlaw just to pot over the penalties, and we got the win from there. So if we can get something similar over there, I'd be happy enough. I mean, I'll just take the win on more than anything. So if that's the way it goes, I'm happy.
I think the good mix, if you can separate it off, the Edinburgh pack, if you like, and the Glasgow back bit almost. Once you get the ball out, the way that Glasgow play, and then the ball comes out, and they can turn nothing from the wings to tries over and over. The last couple of seasons, that's what we've seen. It's phenomenally quick what Glasgow Warriors can do, and I think that two parts to the Glasgow, bit more simplistic. I know people are going to in Scotland, they're going to be going, Jesus, big man, you can't just put it into that simplistic terms. But I think the Edinburgh mass and the Glasgow quick ball out and the wings, it is a great combination, and if you can do that, then you've got a real great chance to put a hefty thing on them.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things with us, which is an advantage and disadvantage, because there's even times where I'm like screaming at the screen, like, just play safe, and then they spread it wide, and then the try comes, and then there's other times they spread it wide and they drop the ball or they give the ball away, and I'm just like, no. So that's the frustrating thing about watching Scotland or supporting Scotland is just there's times like it can be so quick and it'd be brilliant, and then other times it's just you've got your head in your hands and you're screaming at the screen. So it's a bit like Gregor Townsend when he was a player, to be honest with you. He could have his moments of geniuses, but then he could have his moments where you just want to tear your hair out watching him.
So. You want a bit more consistency across the panel.
Well, I mean, I don't know if we're getting that consistency yet, but we'll hopefully it will come, because I think we're getting there, but we've still got a long way to go.
I think Scottish rugby's in a good place at the moment. It's really
we're definitely on the up, I think, but we're still. I think this extends more than just the national team. We've got problems with still having just 2 pro teams. That needs to improve long term. Our grassroots is getting better, but we've still got a lot of work to do there as well. And the amount, because I think we've right now got the most foreign imports, exports, whatever you call them, from all the nations, all the major nations, I should say. So far, so I think, I've got nothing against the foreigners coming over here and playing, and if they're good enough, I'm happy to see them wearing the Scotland shirt, and as long as they're playing, given that they're all in the Scotland shirt, I'm happy enough. But I do long term prefer to see homegrown Scottish boys, very talented and proud to wear the Scotland shirt. Yeah.
In fairness, most virtually all of those are from Scottish heritage anyway. Awful lot of them are from England. You got the Tim Vissers from Holland and stuff like that. But in general, it's difficult with the home nations because when you look at it on paper, an awful lot are foreigners, if you like. But Jesus, if they spend most of their life in England or born in England from dual Scottish parents, then in all real terms, if somebody's in the forces and they're in Brunei, but they're both Scottish parents and you're born there, then you're not no disrespect to the Bruneians, you're not Bruneian, you're still Scottish. So and I think sometimes we have to put it into context.
Yeah.
I think you're building where you are, and I think looking out towards 2023, if you can continue where you're going now, I think that your ascendancy is good. But it is good for Scottish rugby after so long. But I do also think that potentially, if you can build another third region, that would be very useful.
That's what I'm hoping is because we're going to have by 2020 about a semi-pro team league coming up.
Absolutely.
So hopefully that can be the bridges to building a third pro team long term. That's what I'm hoping anyway, but we'll see what happens there. With regards to the foreigners thing, I actually I'm kind of agreeing with you. I don't have a problem with the grandparent or the parent rule. If they want to play for Scotland, I'm absolutely fine with that. But at the same time, we've also taken advantage of the 3-year residency rule. That's what I'm saying. We're not the only ones guilty of that, but I think we have done more so than other nations, which I'm actually, after the next World Cup, I'm actually pleased it's going up to 5 years, because I'm hoping that would encourage more of our young boys or young girls on the women's side as well to get into rugby more and to develop more and get themselves up from homegrown instead of because that can. I think that can be a thing as well when you're taking a lot of folk from abroad. It's like really talented players from abroad, and there's folk like young kids looking up and thinking, they're coming from South Africa or New Zealand or whatever, and they're just thinking, what chance have I got against coming from that rugby roots? And it kind of can be a bit demoralising. I would think. So that's what I'd like to see a bit. That's where I'm happy with the 5-year rule coming in, and I'd like to see us, as I said, get more homegrown long term.
Good.
So yeah, but anything else you want to say about that or?
No, I think France and Scotland will play itself out. I think we pretty much done that one. It's good. That'll be a good game actually. Everybody talks about England Wales, which we'll come on to just now. But I think the France Scotland one actually will teach us some things. I think it goes back again, a really interesting Six Nations, this one, because it's more about laying down markers as a foundation for Japan at the end of the year, as opposed to what it normally is. It's an out and out competition. So I think there's more forces at play at Young Isle than ordinarily we would find, and I think that's really interesting. But England and Wales, being touted as the tie of the round. What do you think?
I think there's no question about that. I think I did say beforehand. I think I think the Six Nations winner wouldn't win the Grand Slam, but I'm just going to be swayed in my view on this if England do beat Wales, because I think. And I think it's going to happen. I don't think Wales have been all that good so far. I think they will be a lot better against, and what will be a lot better on Saturday. I think it will be a very, very competitive game, but I think England will just sneak it. But I think Wales will get a losing bonus point. But from England's point of view, I don't see why they should change a great deal, I'll be honest with you, because they've been playing great. As you said actually before we recorded, Maku Vunipola being out injured is a blow, but I think they've got capable cover there at not at the same level, but I think Ben Moon is an able enough prop replacement. Yeah. So
or Alex Genge, both of them really.
Yeah, so I think they'll be okay there. But what are your thoughts on it?
I think Mako's going to be a big loss. He's a huge ball carrier, a huge scrummager. But Ben Moon has been really, really good ex the Chiefs. He's not the youngest guy in the world, 29. That's not old neither, but, so late coming in. But really good. Ellis Genge, I like as well. I'm glad that they've sent Dan Cole home. I think Dan Cole has passed it now. Kyle Sinclair just needs to sort of calm his jets a little bit.
Yeah.
From being a tight head. I'm saying, that I think he was lucky to get away with a yellow card.
Well, he didn't even get a yellow. He just got a talking to. He should have got a yellow.
He just got a talking to, and actually, in fairness to the way that Nigel Owens did it, was fab. Look, he's I think that's a really, really good front row. I think Jamie George has settled in there well now. I think I prefer Jamie George over your man anyway. So I think that it's like I said before the show. I think Eddie's got almost his starting 15, certainly 23, ideally, that he would want for the Rugby World Cup. The back three of Wilson, Curry, and Billy Vunipola, I think is going to be his starting World Cup. There's three great players, and they play well. Open side, blind side, and number 8, and that's a really, really good, really, really good solid. So, a little bit of tweak on the front row. Second row with Madawatoji gone, I think he's likely to put Laws and Cruz in to start with Joe Launchbury coming in off the bench.
Well, that's the thing. I think we chatted about this before. That Itoje was apparently could be fit to come back against Wales. So, I mean, I agree with you. I think he will start with Laws and Cruz again, but it will be interesting to see if Itoje is fit, whether he'll get on the bench over Launchbury or not. But I mean, we'll see what happens.
Ordinarily, you'd say that no, he's not gonna risk him just coming back from injury quickly. But this is Eddie Jones, and this is against Wales, and this means that they can almost certainly put one hand on the Grand Slam. So ordinarily, sensible people like us would say no. He's got Launchbury, he's got Cruz, he's got Courtney Laws, and that should be enough. But Eddie, being Eddie, is fixated with taking a Grand Slam as part of the thing. So whatever they've got, even if Maro's not there, they've got a good 2 from 3. But I think Laws and Cruz to start. So that's the front 8. I think the centre partnership of Manu Tuilagi, it was reasonably quiet last time out actually, and Henry Slade is good, and I think that's going to be his preferred centre partnership.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Sorry, I agree with you there. I think they've pretty much nailed that down now. I mean, Henry Slade, in my opinion, has been too long coming in getting into the England team. I mean, I know he's had injuries and that in the past, but I mean, I thought at the 2015 World Cup he was really hard done by when Jonathan Joseph got injured and Lancaster picked Burgess over him for whatever reason. But I mean, even as far as back then, I mean that kid has got he's a really talented player. So like I said, I don't know why apart from injuries, I don't know why he's been so long in actually getting his place. I mean, to be fair to him, he's only really got his place lately because Jonathan Joseph was injured, but. He's I think he's classed it with both hands. He should be the 13 for England going forwards. If I was Eddie Jones, that would who I would go for. But I think I agree with you on the centre partnership on the whole. I think that will be the World Cup centre partnership. So long as Manu stays fit for more than 3 games.
Absolutely. And that's the big thing. As I said to a lot of people, Carl, I think that can England maintain the intensity, the consistency, and the momentum once they start picking up a couple of injuries from the preferred? I'm not convinced they can if they can, because they do have some powerful strength and depth. I mean, we use the expression strength and depth a lot for a lot of, we use it in Ireland all the time. But I think for England, they have got some real quality there. I think you'll see Ben Teo on the bench as a cover for Manu. Against Wales.
Possibly. Chris Ashton's out injured, so I'd expect Noel to start on the right wing.
Yeah, on the wing, you mean? Yeah. But I think Ben Teo covering from a centre point of view gives him a lot more power in the centre. Should Manu Tuilagi have a quietish game, and I think the Ben Youngs and Fadel Baby Faz partnership at 10-12 is working very, very well. From a wing and a fullback point of view, it's Elliot Daly, a fullback, absolutely sublime, absolutely.
Yeah, I think he's nailed on that spot for them now.
Yeah, 4 tries I think he's got, hasn't he, so far? Johnny May, or is it the other way around? Johnny May's got 4 tries. I can't remember.
But Johnny May's got 4, yeah.
Johnny May on one wing, and it's either is it Ashton or do you put Noel on the other wing? Both are good. I prefer Jack Noel. I think he's a more stronger player. I know they talked about potentially. In fact, he did. He packed down as a flanker. The yellow card in the last week, and I think it's good. So Wales got a strong pack. Their back three I think is likely to be Navidi, Tipperick and Moriarty will be the back three for them. Adam Beard and Alan Wynne-Jones in centre is a shoo-in for a start, and they've got Ken Owens and I think
there's people from Wales though, because talk about wanting Jake Ball back in at 4 alongside Alan Wynne-Jones, because he returned for the Scarlets last weekend, which I think wouldn't be a bad option. But the problem with Wales so far, the Six Nations, their line-outs. I think in their first 2 games, they've had Brandon told me they've had 7 line-outs in both games, and they've won about four of them, lost 3 in both games, which is for that standard is really poor. You should be aiming for a beat at least 9 out of 10 or something like that at the international level. So their line-out, I think, is going to be really tested, especially against England. When you've got players like, obviously, Laws. That's where actually, if Atoji's fit enough, I wouldn't be surprised if they just chuck him straight back into the starting lineup, or have him on the bench to come off later, because he could be really effective on defensive lineouts. And then Cruz is obviously a good lineout player as well. But yeah, so that was one area. If I was a Welsh fan, I'd be a bit worried how they're going to do in the lineouts, because they've not been firing there. And again, even up front and on the whole, the pack's not been at their best yet. They did a bit better in the second half against France, but still they're not making big grounds, which is. But I was impressed against Italy with how Aaron Wainwright did.
He's done brilliant.
I was going to say. I was where I would pick him at 6 over Navidi, but I think Gatlin will go over Navidi at 6. So
you see, I'd have Adam Wainwright at 6 and Navidi at 8 over Moriarty.
Really?
I don't think he's going to. Yeah, I don't. I like Josh Navidi at 8. I know he doesn't get to play that as much as, but I think he reads the game. And I think a modern 8 needs to read the game very, very well. The Jamie Heaslip's, the Sergio Pirisis, that sort of thing. Billy Vunipolas. There's a sort of certain click in the mindset there. But I don't think he will. But I am a huge Aaron Wainwright fan. I think he's fab.
He's a really good player. But the thing with Josh Navidi at 8, I think. I was tempted to agree with that on a couple of Welsh forums I was on. But I was kind of thinking, okay, but he's up against Billy Vunipola, so that could be, a factor that could work against him, which is why I think Gatlin will go with Moriarty at 8, like someone who's a bit more power, a bit more, someone who could possibly get a bit more parity on Vunipola when he's carrying. Even though I think Billy's been pretty quiet so far, the Six Nations, but I think I'm expecting him to have a lot more of an impact against Wales. Than he has especially against France. I thought he was really quiet for his standards. So,
who do you think will take it in the end, though? England and Wales?
I think England by about 5 to 7 points. I think it'll be similar to a couple of years ago. I think Wales will give him a game, but I think England will just get over the line in the end. But yeah, it'll be a very competitive game. I'm expecting will be a lot better than they have been the first 2 games. But I just think England will have a wee bit too much for them overall. What do you think?
I think if Wales can control the scrummaging an awful lot better, and the attacking line speed up, and stifle England what they're doing, then I think Wales have got a chance to nick it. I think it will be close, and I think it's not so much how much Wales play their game, it's how much they stifle England from playing theirs and then exploit on the back of that. But I'm going to stick my neck out, and I think I'm going to go for Wales by 9.
Oh, really? By 9? Wow, that's a
That's a big one. I'll either crash I'll either crash and burn badly, or Jesus, people will be looking singing, Jesus, can you do me pools for me next week? But I think every team has that banana skin game, and I think this might well be England's. In the same way as I think there's potential for Scotland to slip against France as well. There's just something that's chipping away at me that Wales and Cardiff are difficult. Are difficult. I'm going for Wales on that one, mate, over England, I'm afraid.
like I say, I'm just going by the form book. I think England will have a wee bit too much. But I'll speak to you about Wales' selection at 10, which has been the biggest talkest point for them this season.
Yeah.
I wonder what your thoughts are on that. I mean, Anscombe or bigger?
Well, the thing is, Patchell. I mean, I watched Reece Patchell the other night, and he's just so indifferent at times. I mean, last season I was picking Reece Patchell to start. The thing, though, I've heard that Halfpenny is now out.
Yeah, he's not
injured. So who starts at fullback?
Liam Williams will definitely start at fullback.
Liam Williams. Okay, well, who goes on the wing?
Well, they've got they've got North on the right wing, obviously, and they've got Josh Adams, who's been playing really well. To be fair, he's definitely been one of the bright spots of Wales' Six Nations so far. So I think he'll definitely be on the left wing as well. I think the centres are going to be obviously Jonathan Davis, and I think Hadley Park will be at 12. But
I think 12. Yeah.
But I mean, that's where I think. I don't think Gatland will go for this, but I'd give Olin Watkin a chance at 12 because I thought he impressed. I know it was against Italy, but I thought of the players who stood out. He did very well against Italy in a Wales team that didn't play well on the whole, but I thought he played well. So, and Hadley Park's not been playing that well recently, so that's where I'd possibly give him a chance. But again, I expect Gatland to go with Parks. I think at 10, he will go. Yeah, I think he will go with Anscombe, and I think that makes sense because mainly because against Italy, Biggar was just really, apart from his goal kicking, he was really poor in my opinion. He just kicked the ball away far too much, and he was just not building anything, not building attacks. He was standing too deep. He was kicking it away too often, as I said. Whereas like Anscombe actually came on. He actually like stood up to the line. Like he came up flat. He put the chip in behind for Watkins' try. He was making things happen a lot more. So that's.
I think it's a safer bet putting Anscombe in currently, and that's what Warren will go for.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I go for out of all of the choices, I think it was difficult against Italy because he made 10 changes, so it was always going to be could you really judge that? But yeah, and Watkin was good, but I think Anscombe is the safest bet out of all of them currently, and I think that's why he'll go for them.
What about at 9 though? Because they've got they've had 2 9s. I'm expecting them to have 3 9s in 3 games because I'm expecting them to go for Gareth Davis. What are your thoughts there?
I've got Gareth Davis down here as well, and I think again it comes down to because the 9-10 partnership has got to really understand itself more. And I think if you're going to pick Anscombe, you have to pick Gareth Davis, and vice versa. I think if you put others in, the dynamic doesn't work as well.
I don't know if I fully agree with that because Thomas Williams and Anscombe play together for the Cardiff Blues, so they've got a bit of an understanding anyway. But I mean, I just think it will be Davis just on experience alone because he's more experienced than.
And that's why because it's you're right with Thomas Williams who has played really really great, but it's stepping up from a club level. The dynamics to the international level, and I think that experience there is probably what pushes me more to go for Davis and Anscombe at 9-10.
There's quite a few Welsh folk who aren't a Gareth Davis fan though. I think he's a bit too slow and his passing's not the best. I agree with them on his passing because I think that's where they're missing Rhys Webb because I think Rhys Webb would certainly just whip the ball away, whereas Davis sometimes he's a good sniping 9, but there's times with his passing where he just ends up at the fly half's feet, and
there's some strong similarities with one Conor Murray who we'll come on to just shortly, who is the same great sniping little scrum half, but look, I think Conor Murray slow for me.
I'm disagreeing with you there because I think Conor Murray in his day is a brilliant passer. I'd put him on level with Aaron Smith, mate. I'll be honest with you there. I think Conor Murray's brilliant.
He is a world-class player. At the moment, though, I found him as a retired prop, right? Box kicking. I understand totally, tactically, and every other way what box kicking is used for. However, I know Murray's come back after injury, and people saying he needs more game time, but he's slow. He's sometimes slow getting the ball out. When he's on his day. He gets to the base of the ball, and he's faster at picking the ball up and going for a sniping run himself than he is sometimes getting the ball out. and I hate that slowness. It's like I don't see enough tap and goes. Scrum half. Jesus, get the ball, tap and go. And they should be practicing that and people on the shoulder. But he has been off his game 2 games now. Whether it's just the injury, but I'd rather see, if we turn now to sort of Ireland and Italy, I'd rather have John Cooney in to look at that.
Okay.
Although Joe Schmidt may well. Marmion tends to be faster. Cooney's a better kicker of the game than Marmion. So it'll be interesting to see what Joe, no disrespect to Italy, what Joe puts out against Italy as the dynamics for the team there. Sexton is meant to be, Johnny Sexton is meant to be back from injury again. So would Joe Schmidt at the 9-10, if we look at reverse for Ireland, if we look at the 9, 10, 12, 13 axis there, 9 and 10, would he put Cooney or Marmion in with Joey Carberry at 10 to start, or does he put Sexton in there with Marmion or Cooney? So he's got more of a game player there. And again, no disrespect to Italy, because we've seen what they can do.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I know you were chatting a bit about them making a lot of changes, and I've seen stuff, especially from Luke Fitzgerald, making absolutely radical changes to the Ireland team. But you've seen what Wales did. I don't think Luke Fitzgerald.
I don't think it's going to happen. Not with Joe. Joe's pretty conservative in what he does.
Yeah.
And you have to have that faith in that, because he doesn't do anything, and he doesn't make wide scale changes. When he makes a change, it's a measured approach, and it fits in as part of that jigsaw to all the other things. So I don't think you're going to see the same wide scale changes, Carl. To be honest.
No, that's what I was going to say, because I think Wales showed that you make that many changes, it can somewhat come back to bite you a bit. Because Italy gave them a tougher game than they thought they were going to get against them. I mean, I never thought Wales were going to lose, but they didn't steamroll Italy at all. So
not at all.
So I think I think there will be a few changes here and there. I think he will stick with Sexton at 10. He might make a change at 9. I don't know. I think his centre pairing, I think it'll be more or less the same. Although, is Farrell injured? I might be wrong there.
Who went off? I think it was Tom Farrell.
Oh, Tom Farrell. Pardon me.
Tom Farrell, not Chris Farrell. Yeah. So there is an argument to say that he'll stay with Aki-Farrell partnership to give them more of a time to gel, to see whether they can sort of, a bit more gelling time together in the second game to start off with. I think a lot of it depends, Carl, to be honest, on what happens with Henshaw. Does Henshaw start at fullback, or does he forget that whole thing, and does he put Rob Kearney in for more game time back after injury? Or does he say, okay, he knows what Rob's going to do. Rob had a great game last time out. Does he put Will Addison in at fullback?
Yeah, I don't think he'll go that far. I think it will be Kearney or Henshaw. Or actually, I wouldn't be surprised if he does drop Farrell at 13 and puts Henshaw at 13 alongside Aki. But because the reason I'm saying that is because after losing to England in the first game, and then you've got yourself back winning again against Scotland, and going into the last 3 games, I think Schmidt won't be going and thinking, okay, the title's over now, it's all over. I mean, he'll be wanting to get a bit of momentum going and keep. I think he'll be wanting to keep the spine of the team to get as together as best he can, and that's generally what he does.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that, and there's a point there which says, why did he do Henshaw in the first instance? It's not a one-off thing. There's a reason behind that. Now, does he give Henshaw another go at full-back again? Because Italy, no disrespect to them, don't have the same intensity in kicking game that England had.
No.
So actually, Robbie is going to have more time in that back line to be able to probably develop that part of his game more so, in which case, does he leave Farrell and Aki in the centre partnership? I think that's probably more assured. If he leaves Rob Kearney out, Addison on the bench to cover the full back with Henshaw, because Will Addison is a utility player. Mm-hmm. He can play in the centre, he can play a full back, he's got a really good mind, he's fitted in well with the Irish setup very, very quickly. So I think it's more of the 9-10 as opposed to the centres. And then the other bit really is what happens on the wing. I think does he go Stockdale and Larmour, or does he use Stockdale and Earls, which is a steady state
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for Larmour on the right wing, to be honest, and puts Keith Hurls on the bench, because I think Larmour, I think we discussed this before, as an attacking player from fullback, he's lightning. He's got electric pace. So it just blasts through defenders for fun sometimes. But defensively, as you say, he can be susceptible, which is where put him on. I mean, in the international level, you start him on the wing against Italy. I mean, he might Italy's kicking game, if they're kicking to him, he'd probably be solid under the high ball. But also he can attack. He can cut inside. He can have a wee bit more freedom. Whereas at fullback, you've got your basically, as well as the catching the kicks and the other stuff you have to do, you have the last line of defence. So you have to make sure you can tackle, and if Italy break through and at pace, you could be susceptible.
Yeah, and I think you've got two options. If you play Rob Kearney at fullback, so you've got that control, you've got that world-class control where you can read the game, absolutely superb. If you put Kearney at fullback, then there's potential to put Stockdale and Larmour on the wings, because you've got the control of the back. Mm-hmm. If not, if you have Henshaw at the back, then I think he's got to start with Earls and Stockdale, because it's a more chance. But Earls got more experience there, so I think that's the difference for me. Okay. And then when you look at the pack, I think Sean Cronin will start, and he's quite right. He should do.
Who's the captain then?
Well, it depends on what happens with the back three. Does he rest Peter O'Mahony and bring in Geordie Murphy for a game?
Peter O'Mahony.
Jack Conan.
I was going to say Peter O'Mahony should be banned anyway, in my opinion. So yes, I went there.
Listen, I saw your man stamp on his bad arm as well. That was missed during the game. So look, all fair and love and war in rugby.
I was deserved. He was illegally putting his hand on, and old school. I was loved it, like old school rocking. Yeah,
absolutely.
But no.
So I think it's interesting to see what he'll do on the front row. Andrew Porter and Jack McGrath both played for Leinster the weekend. Obviously, Jack McGrath was back after the hip injury operation and was looking sluggish, as you would expect. No real contact in the game.
Yeah, I think that's where I would not put him back straight away. Make sure he's getting more with injuries like that. You need to make sure they're getting more game time and that
more game time
in the clubs before they're thrown straight.
So I think if he's going to put Cronin in, he'll probably then stay with Healy on one side, and he might bring Porter to start. He's a big fan of Dave Kilcoyne as well. Dave Kilcoyne played great when he came on last week, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I think the second row with Dev Toner for so long. Does he play James Ryan and Quinn Rue?
Is Henderson not back?
Henderson played for Ulster on Friday, first game back. Whether he'll bring him in onto the bench will be interesting to see. Obviously, Ty Burns still not back yet, and I thought Reza Ruddock would have come in and would have answered. Sorry, to answer your question, Reza Ruddock would have come in and captained the side. But Ruddock is out injured now as well.
Yeah, so I've seen that today. Actually, yeah. And second row, I think I think you'd be harsh to drop because I was impressed with the guy who came on against us a couple of weeks ago, Delan. I think you'd be harsh.
Ultram Delan, he's very good. He played well for Connacht this year.
Yeah, and he did very well when he came on against us. Stole a line out, make a couple of good, very good tackles. So I think he'd be after that. I think you'd be harsh just to put him out the 23 completely. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Schmidt does that, but I think starting him.
If he brings Delan in, I think James Ryan is a showing start. Yeah. And if he puts Delan in, then I think that Rue. I don't think Henderson will come back this weekend.
Okay.
I don't think he will. I think he comes just straight back. He's come back early from the finger injury, so I think also probably need a couple more games out of him to get him back into that level of intensity again. So I think it'll be James Ryan with either Alton Delan or Rue to start with whichever Rue or Delan onto the bench.
Well,
my start.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. Well, I'm slightly disagreeing. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ian Henderson back in the 23 somewhere. I just do think it would be harsh just to throw Delan out completely after the game he had when he came on. So I think he deserves a chance to show what he can do. In the back row, I think Jack Conan's going to keep his place at 8. I expect Sean O'Brien to still be 7, but at 6, do you think Peter O'Mahony will keep his place, or do you think...
No, I think he might give Jordy Murphy a run out,
Really?
although he played for Ulster as well last weekend, but whether he brings him in, it depends on what he's looking for. If Rory Best doesn't play, then you could put Peter O'Mahony. You keep Peter O'Mahony because he's your natural skipper, especially if Ruddock isn't there available now. So that may have changed things to keep Peter O'Mahony there. If O'Mahony starts, then I think Jordy Murphy you'll still see him on the 23 and give him a run out as well. But we're already starting to talk about lots of changes there, because it's and I think sometimes we talk about a lot of these changes because it's Italy, and that's slightly unfair.
Yeah.
But it's where else do you give some of the players a bit of a run out against a team that doesn't kick, isn't necessarily as intense, but you know.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing though. I mean, as we discussed, Wales, I think showed that going for that many changes was a bit too far. Like again. And the thing is, I think Italy, they do have looked better the first 2 games. I mean, they're still a bit behind the other nations, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think they'll beat you guys. I think you'll be fine against them. But I think they could possibly win their last game against France and maybe send them to the wooden spoon, possibly. Who knows? But that's for another time. In relation to them in this championship, I mean, the one thing I think that Conor O'Shea has definitely improved on is they look, in the first 2 games at least, they've looked an 80-minute team. I mean, they've not been good enough to beat us or Wales, but they've actually at least stuck with us for a full 80 minutes.
Absolutely.
And
I think that's one of the things that's come through. I watched both Zebre against Leinster and who took us close on Saturday. And Benetton Rugby Treviso as well.
Yeah, Benetton have been doing really well this season. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, and I think you're right. That has manifested itself into the Italian team as well, and they're no slouches. I mean, look, the way they came back against you at the end proves what they can do if you give them the opportunity. They haven't got the strength and depth. I think the one change I think you may see for Italy is Tommaso Allen being dropped and Ian McKinley coming in at fly half, because obviously McKinley being an ex-Leinster player, he understands the Irish game well, and will probably be able to use that. But I might be proved wrong, but it's just an inkling I have that maybe he might start Ian McKinley at 10 on Saturday. But
I think he'll stick with Allen, to be honest, because I think Allen is a bit of a bit better player. But yeah, I mean, you could be right. It's possible because I mean, McKinley was playing for Zebra at the weekend, wasn't he?
For Treviso last weekend. He came.
Pardon me. I just saw the scoreline and saw him that he was playing. That he's got a few penalties. No, I didn't actually see the game. Pardon me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's a possibility. He could make a change there. But again, like I said, I think they're improving, but with regards to the other nations, they've got a long way to go. Because I mean, Conor O'Shea's basically working with one hand behind his back. He's got not that much talent to work with. I mean, I think they've got more registered players than Wales do. Wales do, to my knowledge. I think they've got more registered players than we do, but it's not so much. It shows that it's not just about how many registered players they have. It's like the resources you have. They're way into the professional game. The money they have, which Italy compared to other nations is pretty limited. So all those factors play a part as to where they are now. But I think Conor O'Shea is improving them. It's just, he's not. It was never going to be a case he was going to get them up and competing for championships.
No, look, he had he put together, I think it was a 5-year plan, to develop it more from grassroots, to get buy-in from the National Union and from the government, more funding lines coming in, development, coming through, and I think, at the end of the day, they're showing that, but it's a long haul against what resources they've got, and you can have 1,000 players registered. You're quite right, but if you haven't got that quality, and I think I think there's a lot to be said for what he's achieved so far, and on the day they can, like they showed you in the last few minutes, you can turn a couple of tries, and if it, I think Wales got away. Luckily, last weekend, to be honest, and I think Warren Gatland would know that as well. So no slouches, Italy, but I think Ireland. I think we'll win by between 15 and 22.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think yous will be fine. I mean, Italy might get a couple of tries, I think, but I don't think overall over 80 minutes. I'm expecting you just have too much for them, and you'll just see it through fairly convincingly, I'll say. But again, wouldn't be surprised if you have a couple of sticky moments where Italy will give you a few problems, but on the whole, I think you'll just have too much for them. So that's I'm agreeing with you. I'll say about 20 points as well. So we'll go with that. Anything else you want to talk about, or you want to leave?
No, I listen. It's been really, really enjoyable. I thoroughly enjoyed that because I think both of us can sit and chat all night. To be fair,
yeah,
it's good. Yeah. It's nice. It's relaxed, and I'm really grateful for you inviting me on and to share some thoughts.
Yeah, no problem, Joe. It's good having you on. Like I said, I think if I'm going to stop recording about now because I'm not sure how much more my data can take, and it's already going to take ages to upload when it goes up later. But yeah, man, good having you on and good chatting. I'm sure we'll get something together again sometime soon. And
absolutely.
And feel free to keep posting your stuff on my page as well. And
thank you. We'll look at sometime over the next couple of months to getting you on as one of our guest panelists on Three Blokes, a Ball and Bod.
Perfect, man. So have you got links to your work or where you're doing your stuff for rugby? So I can put them in the description.
If it is Three Blokes, a Ball and Bod is the page, and the page is the show. Each week there's a new link for the show every Thursday at 8 p.m. So that goes out mid-afternoon, and then I share that into all the forums, including your own, which is great. So that's why there's a different link each week, because it's a brand new show.
Okay.
But the page is Three Blokes, a Ball and Bod, and the Twitter handle is @3bod. For that, but like I say, the page is there to support the show, and all our previous shows and everything we do is on there as well. So always glad to have new people come along, and Thursday night 8 p.m. 2000 hours 8 p.m. GMT, come and join us and have a bit of crack and a bit of banter, and just like this. Yeah. Just an informal chat with blokes and girls who enjoy the game.
Yeah, we'll do, man. That's good stuff, and good to have you on. So we'll chat again sometime. I think I'm going to end it there. So catch you later, guys. All the best.